We often hear the phrase, "the exception proves the rule." That saying exists because almost every general rule in life has an exception. Ignoring that reality breaks down logical reasoning entirely. This breakdown is known as the misuse of a principle, sometimes called the fallacy of accident. It acts as a two-sided trap. On one side, someone applies a rule rigidly to a situation where it clearly doesn't belong. On the other side, they take a rare, extreme exception and use it to declare a perfectly valid rule completely false. This checklist outlines the criteria for a good argument. To pass the test, premises must be acceptable and reasonable to a mature mind. As you can see, the misuse of a principle fails the acceptability criterion. It fails because it relies on a hidden, irrational assumption that a general rule has absolutely zero exceptions. Imagine a homeowner decides to open a used car lot, or perhaps a small pig farm, right in their residential backyard. When the neighbors complain, the homeowner defends their actions by citing a universally recognized principle. People are entitled to use their own property however they wish. But look closely at the structure of this defense. The homeowner is sneaking in an unstated premise that property rights have zero exceptions. They are ignoring how a pig farm negatively impacts everyone else in the neighborhood. Consider another scenario at a drive-in theater. The management has a strict rule: no one under 18 allowed. An attendant uses this rule to block a couple from entering because they brought their sleeping infant. Let's pause right here. Look at the rule and look at the sleeping baby. Why is this fallacious? Think about the rule's true purpose. It's to shield minors from adult content, which an infant cannot comprehend. Stripping away intended purpose is a structural failure. The second flavor of this fallacy works in reverse. Instead of rigidly enforcing a rule, an arguer attempts to invalidate a general rule entirely by pointing out a single extreme exception. Take the general rule: lying is wrong. An opponent might argue that a psychologist is perfectly justified in lying to a dangerous individual to protect a patient's safety. From that single instance, they conclude the entire rule, lying is wrong, is false. This scale shows how we handle conflicting principles. An exception doesn't erase a general truth. Another rule simply takes priority. Here, patient safety acts as a trump card. This heavier principle outweighs the rule against lying in this specific instance, without destroying its general validity. Exceptions are merely collisions of priorities in a complex world. Proving a rule is sometimes outweighs does not prove the rule itself is false. So how do you counterattack when someone misuses a principle in a live debate? You have two immediate tactics. First, force your opponent to state the original purpose of the rule out loud. Second, look for a heavier, conflicting principle that is actively trumping their rule. If they still won't budge, use the parallel trap. Find a general principle they agree with, like the right of parents to raise their children. Then offer an exception they also agree with, like conceding parents do not have the right to physically abuse those children. You force them to concede that exceptions exist. Let's bring this all together into a single mental model. This cheat sheet lays out the fallacy and the fix. Misuse of a principle operates through rigid application or false refutation. Counter it by checking the rule's purpose or finding a conflicting principle. Rational arguments require acceptable premises. Demanding absolute, exceptionless rules is never acceptable.